Hopkins split left, two receivers right. Snap to Murray, going to give to Ingram, running straight ahead. Ingram diving for the goal line, and he's into the end zone for his first NFL touchdown. Dalton straight drop back, throws over the middle, and a one-handed interception by Isaiah Simmons in midfield. Runs it back to the left of the 40, at the 30, at the 25, at the 20, and Simmons in, back-to-back. Interception returns for touchdowns by the Cardinals at the end of the half. Second and goal on the 5. Hopkins wide to the right, shotgun formation. Snap to Murray, quick throw left side. It's caught at the 1 and into the end zone for the touchdown is Greg Dortch.
This is the Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by...
The Playbook is live on the Bettor Sports Network, powered by FantasyAlarm.com, sponsored by Jock Market. My name is Justin Fensterman. His name is Adam Ronis, and the Prop Wars battle continues today, getting you ready for everything that you need to know for Week 7 of the NFL Fantasy Football season. Going to talk some basketball as well. Just a great time to be a sports fan with the 4 majors going on. What's up, Ron? How's your Friday?
Pretty busy, man. Doing some NBA prop article this morning. You can find the article on Pickswise.com. Then, trying to come up with some props here for Props Wars. A lot of props that I wanted are not even out yet. So
I noticed that too. A little light.
Yeah,
weird. It's weird.
Well, injuries have a lot to do with it, and they don't know exactly who's going to play, who's going to be out. So that's part of it. So we'll do the best we can here for today, and then maybe if something I like over the weekend, maybe I'll put it out on social media. You never know.
You never know. It is a Jersey Friday here. You never know what jersey Adam Ronis is going to wear, and what jersey does he pick for today, and none. That is his option. That's his prerogative right there. For me, I got the old Mighty Ducks jersey, though, not the Anaheim Ducks or anything. The actual movie Mighty Ducks, number 99. Adam Banks here, the surefire offensive threat that he was in the Mighty Ducks series there. So for a Jersey Friday, let us know what.
Here's the problem for me is I don't have many jerseys, and usually only my teams. So I have like Mets jerseys, Cowboys, a Rangers jersey, and that's it. Like I do have the Griffey one that you gave me, but I don't have a lot of jerseys of other teams. Like why would I wear someone else's jersey?
Because they're cool. Some old school jersey. You're telling me that if you got a Sharif Abdul-Rahim old school Vancouver Grizzlies jersey, you would never rock it?
But I'm not buying it.
No, maybe. What if I told you you could get them pretty cheap from a certain place and not have to spend $100 per jersey? I can't.
No, because I don't. Again, I want to rock players on my team. I don't want to. I mean, unless it's like a real favorite, like a Griffey, a Kobe Bryant. That's different. I love those guys, but I only really, have my teams. I don't have other teams. What do you have? Like hundreds of jerseys in your closet?
I've got a good, probably NBA. I've got a good about 30 jerseys.
Oh my goodness, man!
Yeah, man, they're cool. Though.
I don't even think I have. Do I have an NBA jersey now? I used to have a Reggie Miller, and what else?
What's funny is that's why I don't have a Pacers jersey yet, because I really, if you're going to get a Pacers jersey, I feel like you got to get Reggie Miller, and maybe after this year Tyrese Halliburton. But you're going to get a Reggie Miller jersey, and I have a very difficult time accepting a Reggie Miller jersey in my life, being that he was one of the most. I hated Reggie Miller when I was a kid more than just about any other athlete, bro, being a New York sports fan.
Yeah, I liked him because I'm not a diehard Knicks fan. I root for them, but I don't really have a diehard NBA team. So, but I loved watching Reggie Miller play.
Yeah, so great. I actually was at his last game at Madison Square Garden. I think it was in 2005, and he didn't really have a good game, but everybody gave him a standing ovation. So just a lot of fun there, and especially being a sports fan here. We're going to be taking your comments in the chat as well. We're going to talk about the craziness that happened last night, and I think that's a good place to start. You heard in our open to the show, you heard Christian McCaffrey highlights the Panthers radio network, but not for long, meaning it's over now. And you also heard some of the highlights as well from the Cardinals. Now, last night, Rome, we'll go over the game first, and then we'll go over what broke towards the end of the game. Cardinals beating the Saints 42-34, a combined 76 points put up on the board. And I guess to start where the Cardinals defense with coming up huge back-to-back pick sixes there. And then DeAndre Hopkins in his return to the field, 10 receptions for 103 yards. We'll take it.
Yeah, it definitely was a little surprised. And I did wind up taking the Cardinals in my pool. I was kind of torn on the game. Oh, I did hit a same game parlay, only plus 201, but
Win's a
had
win.
what?
A win's a win.
Yeah, I had Kamara over 20 receiving yards, Kamara 3 receptions or more, Olave 4 receptions or more, Olave 50 yards or more, and Johnson 10 receiving yards or more. And he had 5 for 32 and 2 touchdowns. And the worst part was I was thinking of streaming him at tight end. I had Irv Smith on bye in a 14-team league, and I wound up picking up Bellinger, and I was sitting there before the game. I'm like, do I go and get Johnson? And I was like, it's a good matchup against Arizona, and Troutman was out, but I was like, I don't know. Now I wish I did it. So at least I hit on that. But I mean, this game ruined the 2 pick sixes ruined a game for Kyler Murray, which as you know, when you play in multiple fantasy leagues, I have Kyler Murray in my home league and a couple best ball teams, but I was going against Kyler Murray on a team where the guy had Murray, Ertz, and Rondell Moore. So none of them went off. Kyler Murray, 204 and a touchdown. He did have 30 rushing yards. It's not great. So it really hurt him. It didn't hurt Eno Benjamin in the end because he got that late touchdown. He was only 12 carries for 92 yards. He had that 45-yard run early. Did catch 4 passes for 21 yards. Keontae Ingram, though, stole a touchdown, almost stole a second. But if you started Eno Benjamin, I got 23 points in PPR formats. I did mention I benched him in one league, though, for Najee Harris, Damian Pierce, and Breece Hall. That will probably come back to bite me, but thought it was the right call. And, yeah, Hopkins, Murray was focusing on him. We kind of knew when Hollywood Brown went out that would probably be the case. There were times where he wasn't getting open, wasn't getting much separation, but, he was targeted 14 times. So, yeah, you're feeling good if you have Hopkins, especially with Hollywood Brown out. Rondell Moore with the fade in the end zone. I don't know what they're doing. I think that was the play DeAndre Hopkins didn't know the play, or he was like, there was some miscommunication between Hopkins and Murray at times. You saw that, and there were a lot of times that guys didn't know the play. But, yeah, I think obviously bodes well for Hopkins going forward. I think Ertz will be fine. I know everyone thinks he's done now, but I don't see it because, who else do they have? This was just a case, I think, where they probably wanted to get Hopkins involved heavily and early. Ertz only had 4 targets, 2 for 21, but Murray only completed 20 passes. And Robbie Anderson was targeted once and couldn't get open.
Yeah, with Ertz, we're going to have to put that trust into him until Hollywood Brown comes back. Then when Hollywood Brown comes back, we're going to be in wait-and-see mode. But at that time...
But Brown's out a minimum of 4 weeks and potentially more because they officially placed him on IR. And thank you, Cardinals, for doing that so I could put him in the IR spot in the host league. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
No, because sometimes they don't do it.
Bro, few bench spots that we have there, man.
Yeah, because in that league, the difference in that league, because I think someone asked earlier in there, and I didn't make the rules. I took over as commissioner, but I didn't make the rules. In that league, you have to be on IR to be put on the IR spot. In my home league, I do it once you're ruled out for the week, you can go on IR, but you have to be hurt. Elijah Moore cannot be put on IR. He's not hurt.
I can't put Cam Akers. I have both Moore and Akers. I couldn't put them on either one of them on it.
Yeah, Akers.
I couldn't put Hopkins on either.
See, Akers. No, you should have been able to put Hopkins on IR. Oh, was it because of the suspension? Oh, yes. Suspension. Yeah, that's why. Okay. Yeah, suspended players to me should not be able to put on IR.
I agree with that.
And Akers should not be put on IR. He's not hurt.
I agree with that too.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where the commissioner has to make the rules clear. I make the rules clear to everyone, and then someone will try and slip it by. They don't realize I get an email for every transaction. So I'll immediately be like, hey, someone tried to put a fast one. They added Jameson Williams off waivers. Fine. Then they put him on IR. I said, no, you didn't draft the guy. You can't add someone off IR and put them on IR. That's my rule. Because otherwise, and I said, hey, you didn't draft him. He's like, oh, I thought I did. My fault. No, you didn't. No, I believe you. I believe you. I made a mistake. Now, he missed the draft, so maybe he didn't realize that. But I went back and double-checked because I don't want to be wrong and call someone out and look like a fool. I'm like, wait, he picked them up on September, whatever. I'm like, no, you can keep them.
With that, though? I don't get that one. I mean, I get with the rule about who goes on IR and stuff, that we're on the same page. Mm-hmm. I disagree with you regarding
No, okay. So then because I have 5 IR spots in that league, So if that's the case, what are you going to do? Look for everyone who's on IR, pick them up and put them on the IR just to fill the spots? That's not the point of the rule. And I even tell people, I'm like, hey, I'm doing this to help people out. If we're going to have any miscommunication, I'll bag it. This way you'll have 3 guys hurt. They're on your roster. Good luck. Then I don't have to deal with any of this crap. It's easier for me.
Why don't you just take away some of the IR spots?
No, I mean,
why don't you make it 1 or 2? Make it 1.
Nah, I mean, I'm fine. Look, if guys are out, you want to replace them for the week. Like this week, what a
5
bye week.
is too many, Roan.
If you have but no one ever uses 5. If I go now, probably no one has used more than 3.
So let me ask you this then. Let's say you bring it down to let's just say you think about it, you bring it down to 2 next year. Does the rule about you being able to pick up an IR player and then immediately putting them on IR, does that go away?
No.
Okay. See, that's where you and I disagree. I think it's okay that if you have an IR, now you have 5. I understand it a little bit more. You have 1 and you want to pick up Williams to put him there to immediately stash him. I'm fine with that. It's your league. You've told me this before. And now that you said 5, it makes a little bit more sense. But if it's 1, maybe even 2, I just don't see what the problem is with that.
Yeah, because that's not what it's there for.
It's what it's there for. It is.
No, it's not. It's there to pick up guys off waivers and put them on IR. That's not what it's there for.
That's the spot, man. They're on the IR. They're on the IR. And look, it's your league. You could do what you want. I'm just trying to give another opinion as to why I just don't understand it. If you have 1 or 2, you have 5 in this league. It's more understanding. It's half a starting lineup at that point. So I get that. But if you have 1 or 2 and then you happen to pick someone up and that's how you use the spot, that's totally fine. Here's where I think about it a little bit more. We've been talking for years that, especially the free websites, they're very generous with who can and who can't go on IR. I don't think that if a player is ruled out just for the game, you should be able to put them on IR. I think that only if they're on the IR, they should be put on the IR. And if you just have 4 questionable players that happen to be ruled out, you're just SOL. And that's the way fantasy works sometimes.
No, I'm okay. I do it in my league. Once you're officially ruled out, you can put them in that spot. And the flex league that I play in allows you to do that as well. So I'm waiting for
the industry leagues allow that as well.
The flex league that Jake Seeley runs, yeah. So I'm waiting for Darren Waller to get his designation is out because he's been ruled out. Put him on the IR spot and pick someone up.
Yeah, interesting. Just different ways you can play fantasy sports. We'll have to mark this for next year, and when we're doing league setup and talk about it and go back and forth, get everybody else's opinions. Essen asking us about Eno Benjamin yesterday. You're welcome, Essen. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you win, and that's what we do. So thank you very much. And as always, you could go to fantasyalarm.com and check out all the information. The Adam Ronis weekly rankings are up there. For me, the assignment was basketball today, so I got the DFS NBA starting 5. We're going to talk about that in a little bit with John and Pemba, who hosts the Playbook Game Day, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern, Sundays here on BSN. He's going to join us and actually talk about the Monster 11-game NBA slate, talk some wagering on that front as well. Let's get the party started for tonight. Now, towards the end of that game, which, by the way, Ronis mentioned this, Ertz only had 2 receptions, Moore only had 1. Greg Dortch, who we were just talking about and bringing up, of course, we bring him up just in casual conversation, scores a touchdown. But Kyler Murray just overall the 204 in the air and the score. Andy Dalton, 361 in the air, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks with the back-to-back pick sixes. Olave, 7 for 106. And as Rona said, Juwan Johnson with 2 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara did not get in the end zone, 49 on the ground, but 7 for 56 to save the value a little bit. And then Taysom Hill getting involved there with a touchdown catch, not a pass, a catch. Traquan Smith with 5 receptions. So towards the end of this, Christian McCaffrey gets traded to the 49ers for 3 picks, a 2nd, 3rd, 4th for 2023, and also a 5th for 2024. Road overall, what do you think of the landing spot for CMC? He's going to have some protection there.
I think it's kind of even. You know, he's going to get less volume, but he'll be more efficient in a better offense and get more opportunities to score. So, you know, I think it's the same. Like, I don't think it's a huge upgrade, huge downgrade. You know, he was getting crazy volume in Carolina, but, you know, the scoring opportunities weren't as plentiful. I mean, Carolina got into the red zone 1 time last week. 1 time, their first possession. The next 9 possessions, they didn't get there. So, and that's was going to continue this week against Tampa. So there'll be a lot more scoring opportunities with San Francisco. It kind of does hurt everyone, though, a little bit, because we were already complaining about there weren't enough touches to go around for Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo. And now you add McCaffrey into the mix, who has to get volume. Obviously, it crushes the other running backs. Maybe Debo doesn't run as much, but, it does. I mean, San Francisco's got so many ways to beat you. I mean, if you take who you taking out, like, they just go to someone else. So it makes them a real dangerous offense. And I like them as one of the top teams in NFC before the trade, especially with their defense. And it looks like a lot of guys are coming back healthy. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks, though, if you have him this week. Like, I'm helping my friend's team in his office. He's got McCaffrey and Jeff Wilson.
Oof.
And Miles Sanders on bye, and like no other running backs to put in this week. So you might have to just suck it up and start both, which kind of sucks. They already said McCaffrey, they're not sure if he's playing. He arrived to the team practice today wearing jersey number 23. He wants to play. I know they've left it up to the coaching staff. They might install him in some red zone packages. So really tough decision this week. I think if you have him, you probably play him. Obviously, bye weeks and injuries. There's a chance he gets like 7 touches and scores 2 touchdowns in this offense. And what should be I think, competitive game this week. I don't know. Has the line moved to 3? No, I think it's 2.5 still, right?
Yeah, last night I checked right before the show.
Or it might have moved to 2. But I did see someone from BetMGM saying they really need San Francisco to win. That the big liability, like a lot of people are betting the Jets and the Giants. So the books would take a hit if those teams cover, and everyone's on the Chiefs. And I will not be. I will be on the 49ers this week.
So when it comes to the situation overall with CMC, and I'm trying to think of comps. Let's say you have a lineup decision that you're trying to make. Let's say, and this is just the first name I can think of, CEH versus CMC.
Oh, it's not even close. It's McCaffrey.
So, okay. So that's a good standard right there, because we don't know what the usage is going to be.
That's the thing. You can't really make this decision now. I think you have to wait and see. My guess is he plays, and if they're going to use him in red zone packages, I mean, that's fine. I mean,
he gets nine touches. He can score on 2 of them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a problem. It's a risk, but that's the risk you take sometimes in fantasy. But from what we're seeing, I mean, at least for now, we're thinking that he'll be out there thinking, but you'll have to absolutely check back in. Then we look at the other side of it, and everybody rushes to their waiver wire and goes and either grabs Deonta Foreman or Chuba Hubbard. And when it comes to either of these backs here, not the easiest matchup that they have coming up this weekend. Now, by the way, 13 points spread on this game between Carolina and Tampa. Do you prefer one or the other? I mean, my gut says Foreman. I actually was able to grab a little bit of both as depth stashes in both leagues, or in multiple leagues. But I'm thinking it's going to be Foreman at least early. But it seems that Coach Wilkes is saying they're going with the hot hand. So it could be a 50-50 timeshare until one of them stands out.
Yeah, I did pick up Foreman in a couple leagues, but man, it's tough to feel good about any of them. McCaffrey was able to produce in this offense, but he's a different player. And now no one is going to get the full workload. It's not ideal. Like I said, Carolina has been terrible on offense. I mean, with McCaffrey last week, they got into the red zone one time against the Rams, who aren't good. And now they get Tampa this week, who is a good defense. So it's really not ideal. I don't really feel good about any of these backs, but Foreman would be the guy I pick up first and did in a couple leagues, but I'm not starting him. Just kind of adding him and seeing how it works out this week, and then go from there. But it's not an ideal situation at all, especially since they said it's going to be a timeshare. I do think Foreman looked really good last year, but different offense. That was Tennessee.
Man, just crazy what happens like that. And it's looking like it's not going to be the only trade that we're going to have before the deadline. So we'll keep it locked in, because everything changes after that. I'll say this, Ronan, I guess that he probably wanted this anyway, but the days of Debo Samuel running are completely over now, right?
I don't know completely, but definitely volume going down. I could see 1 or 2,
Maybe
especially
a trick play where he gets one of those 17-yard runs or something like that. They give it to McCaffrey. He runs around behind. Boom, they give it to him. He gets some yardage there. But overall, I mean, you got to be thinking that it caps him a little bit, unfortunately, Debo.
Yeah, you would think that. I don't think he'll get like 8 carries a game like we've seen at times. So, yeah, I think that is the case. So
okay, you brought it up too, and now it's left a bad taste. Well, I don't actually have any of these guys, but yeah, McCaffrey's going to be catching passes every game. Those targets are going away, and you're.
I don't know if they're. It's not that they're going away. It's just that this is not a high volume offense to begin with. So, and it's not like their running backs were catching a ton of passes.
No,
a lot's going to depend on the game script. Like last week, we saw San Francisco fall behind, and then you saw them pass a lot. They were down 14-0, and that's why Ayuk had a good game. I think this is a game this week that the line is now 2. Kansas City is favored in San Francisco, but I could see this being a back and forth game where they do have to pass. But I mean, it's going to be difficult to see Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, and McCaffrey all having big weeks. It's just they're not built that way.
No, not at all. And to those, by the way, that now with Jeff Wilson here coming off the great game that he had before, now at this point, Jeff Wilson completely irrelevant and just a bench depth piece at this time.
Even those that were waiting on Elijah Mitchell too.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks, man. Talk about it's funny because they're going to have to make a decision now when he's ready to roll. I mean, we'll talk about adds and drops there. We'll see the fallout afterwards as well. But question for you, speaking of the 49ers, not you, Ron, everybody out there, all our better fans. Are you the biggest 49ers fan, especially after getting a huge gun at running back like Christian McCaffrey? What about, are you like Adam Ronis and are the biggest Cowboys fan? Ron, you think you're the biggest Cowboys fan out there?
I wouldn't say I'm the biggest.
Okay, so maybe second
there.
So for the one person in the entire world that roots for the Cowboys that's a bigger fan than Adam Ronis, or if you're the biggest 49ers fan, we're giving away an autographed Alvin Harper John Taylor jersey. All you got to do is follow us on Twitter at Bettor Network to win. Show us your fandom. Reply to our pinned tweet right now on Twitter at Bettor Network. Pinned tweet. Use the hashtag Corey's Cowboys or Henry's 49ers for the jersey you want. You can submit a video then, or a photo to help your cause. And this promotion goes all week. It's not just today, all weekend rather. So you have a few days there. Get your video, get your picture out there at Bettor Network, and make sure you're using the hashtags either Corey's Cowboys if you're a Cowboys fan, or hashtag Henry's 49ers if you want that 49ers jersey. The winners will be announced Monday. Corey Nando and friends, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern, right before us here on the network. And you must use the hashtags to win. Hashtag Corey's Cowboys or Henry's 49ers. That sounds just another great promotion from BSN where you could be taking home some memorabilia. We got the People's Producer today, not the People's Board, the People's Producer, Jared Moore, and the franchise, Tony LaBarbera. Worked with Tony a long time at SiriusXM. Great guy. Happy to have him aboard with the guy AB off today here. We have the franchise, Tony LaBarbera, filling in. Happy to be with all of you. We'll read your comments here. Let's talk NFL injuries before we flip it to basketball, and then a full hour of football right after. It's a great football Friday, along with other sports here on Bettor Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis is sponsored by Jock Market. Make real money every hour, every minute of every game.
We talk a lot about Jock Market, one of our sponsors here of the Playbook, because they offer daily markets for sports that let you buy and sell the shares of athletes. Different from DFS, you're buying and selling the shares with other users for real money, and each share gets you a guaranteed payout at the end of the night of respective contests. And you can download that Jock Market right now. There's a link in the app that you can click and sign up for free to check it out. And then obviously you're putting in money. It's like the stock market. You download now using the promo code Playbook to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Your first market will also be risk-free with losses refunded up to $100. Download the Jock Market app right now using promo code Playbook. It's just another way for all of those that are big business and stock market, Wall Street fans, you Gordon Geckos out there. This is a way that you can combine sports and fantasy with these stocks, shares, everything that you can want with that. And there's going to be a recommendation on what you should spend so you don't get outbid on those shares, especially during the IPO portion before all of a sudden the shares are distributed once the IPO portion is over. And if you want to buy some shares, that's great. However, somebody else can outbid you for those shares, and that's why you have to pay attention, kind of like the stock market too, where you just have to be paying attention as there's a lot of variable change. And just like that, your shares, and you could be thinking you're sitting pretty, you're going to win some money, you're going to get a nice return. You got to check to see if you still have those shares, because if you have those shares, then yeah, you're going to cash, but you could be outbid for those shares, and that's not good. And that's where the bidding price goes up and up. So when you're on the Jock Market app and you want to buy and invest in on a player, make sure that you're buying them at a share at a price that's a little bit more than just 50 cents on the dollar ahead of what they currently are there. It's a lot of strategy, because you could think you have a great value, and all of a sudden someone undercuts you, buys the shares, and all of a sudden you're SOL.
Yeah, and that could happen with a guy that is low priced, and then everyone else sees the same thing.
Bettor Sports Network is sponsored by Jock Market.
TheAlarm.com, sponsored by Jock Market.
Sideline, down to the middle of the field. Jonathan Taylor, 76-yard touchdown for the Indianapolis Colts.
He's weaving his way through and then Dobbins the foot race. Dobbins showing the wheels, and he's in for the touchdown.
And Wentz is protected for the end zone to Dotson. He holds it in. Touchdown, Commanders. Deserved a while.
This is the Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com and sponsored by Jock Market. Make real money every second of the game.
Let's talk player health, just like we're going to talk about rejoin health, Ro, when it comes to the Playbook here on BSN here. You talked about Darren Waller already being ruled out here, man. Just frustrating because of the state of the tight end position, dude. It just takes another one out of the pool here with big offenses on bye. Who can you trust anymore at this spot?
Man, and I have Waller in one league, not because I wanted him. I felt he fell in a Superflex league to the end of round 7. I was like, okay, I'll take him here. And those tend not to work out. So, yeah, it is tough. Jawan Johnson was one yesterday, or Taysom Hill. They already played. Foster Moreau will step in for Waller. We've seen him have success. He could be an option. It looks like Hunter Renfrow will play. I was a little worried because he didn't practice yesterday. They're saying that they were just being cautious here. Good matchup here against the Texans. So nothing much that we can do here. And just got to try and pick someone up who can get us a potential touchdown at the position.
Yes, seriously. Man, get in the game, talking about Renfrow being in. We can use all the help we could get. By the way, get in the game asking us what team is better now, the Cowboys or the 49ers, Roan. That's kind of a tough one. Both of them, I'm expecting, I know you are as well, both of them are going to be contending for that NFC crown.
Yeah, they should be there with Philadelphia. Let's see what the futures tell us. I know the 49ers, I think, went to plus 1,600 on the Super Bowl. Yeah, so they are ahead of Dallas right now, at least on DraftKings. They are. How are the Bucks plus 900? Get out of here. Talk about, come on,
It's Tom Brady. He's the GOAT.
If you're telling me Tampa plus 900 or San Fran plus 1,600, give me San Fran plus 1,600 all day.
1,000%.
Damn, man, the Cowboys. So Vegas says it's the Niners. They're plus 1,600. Vikings are plus 1,800. Packers are plus 2,000. Cowboys are plus 2,200. So
work and grind. I love it. Work and grind. They're trying to steal the money. You're damn right. Work and grind. They are trying.
Well, we've had this discussion because they were doing it last year with the Lakers. Like all year, the beginning of the year, Lakers were so high up. I'm like, what? And I think they don't want it to become a liability. Whereas if they put them where down, people are like, oh, LeBron and AD, if they're healthy, let me bet it. So I think the same thing with Brady. Like if they put the Bucks at plus 2,000, they're afraid everyone's going to bet them because like, oh, Brady's going to figure it out and the defense, the NFC's wide open. And then they don't want it to become a big liability. So that's probably why they do it. But there's no way like the Bucks should be the 4th highest right now. But this goes to show you the parity, man. It's the Bills, Eagles, Chiefs, Bucks are 4th, Niners 5th, Chargers and Vikings 6th. Okay. Packers 7th. Like, really? Tied with the Ravens, then the Cowboys. I mean, the Rams at plus 2,500. Man, it's crazy because like all these teams are like garbage.
Yeah, there's really not, at least for now, not a lot of competition going for that title that you can look at that team being like, oh, that's a contender right there. You can't do that with like more than 4 or 5 teams. We talk about this every single week. There are 4 or 5 teams that we can realistically see win the Super Bowl. That's it.
And look, I guess it's possible that one of these teams turns it around, and I guess Tampa, I see why they do it. I wouldn't put money on them, but their defense is really good. The division is terrible. So maybe they work themselves to, I mean, I guess it's still possible they could get a 2 seed. Obviously Philly's in line to get the 1, but if the Bucks can make a run here, I wouldn't put money on them right now, but I see why the books put them there because of Brady. If they put it lower, people are going to jump on it, and they don't want it to be a liability.
Speaking of the Bucks, Julio Jones, Cameron Brate, both out. Carlton Davis on the other side. He is questionable for this game. Let's talk about some of the other situations here when it comes to player health, Roan. Looks like Jonathan Taylor, the reports this morning were positive, and then this afternoon even more came out. It's looking like he should be good to go, Jonathan Taylor. Shaq Leonard not going to play, but at least Taylor will be there. It's looking like.
Yeah, I think so. It looks like he's going to play, so you can get him back in the lineup this week. It looks like Nyheim Hines will go too. So the Deion Jackson tour is short-lived.
Yeah, very short-lived here. And it kind of ended, his body ended it a little bit too short. But still, a lot of passes that he caught, and that helped out.
He had a big week. If you plugged him in last week, it was tremendous.
I put him in a DFS lineup at $140. It was awesome. It was great. So with that, other injuries, we got the Detroit Lions. Everybody, they're always involved in the injury report here. DeAndre Swift, Josh Reynolds, both questionable. No DJ Chark. He is going to be out here. And then how about this, Roan? J.K. Dobbins, we were talking about him. I guess it's more issues that Harbaugh is going to have with that New York turf here, because not only will Dobbins be out, but also having knee surgery. And from the timetable we've seen, going to miss the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, to me, he was concerned going into the season, and I didn't want to draft him. And you could say, well, this is bad luck, another injury, sure, but always risky to draft these players coming off an injury, knowing that they're going to miss the start of the season. So it's unfortunate for Dobbins. Looks like Kenyon Drake is in a good spot this week, although Justice Hill is not on the injury report. So he'll be involved, and he's looked pretty good this year when he's gotten touches. And then we'll see if Gus Edwards is activated. Might not happen just yet. So it could be Drake and Justice Hill this week against the Browns.
So we've talked about the situation with Carolina. We don't know who the starter is, but you can expect a 50-50 timeshare probably between Chuba Hubbard and Deonta Foreman for Carolina, with McCaffrey out of the way now. Baker Mayfield doubtful for the Panthers, and Laviska Shenault questionable. Also questionable, Russell Wilson too. We'll have to see. Been dealing with multiple injuries here, so we'll see if he ends up playing with the tag. And then for Miami, you've got Xavier Howard, Jalen Waddle, Teron Armstead, all questionable. Tyler Lockett coming up questionable too today. And then Kenny Pickett, Pat Freiermuth, they have both cleared concussion protocol. And then we get to chapter 2 of the dramatics with the New York Jets. Elijah Moore, according to what we've heard from Coach Saleh, not being traded, but also, Roan, not playing, despite the report that we got this morning that he is back at the facility again, for the Jets facility.
Yeah, they don't want him to play after everything that transpired, so not good. It's make sure this isn't easier. If you were debating him and he was giving you no production, you could just sit him on the sidelines, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully everything is fine and he gets back on the same page with his team and could be out there next week, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't think working grind. I don't think Deion Jackson is stealing Nyheim Hines' role. At least I don't think so at this point.
I think it's possible. I think he looked better than Hines, but I don't know what the Colts will do.
We need at least this week to see what's going on with all three now. But then work and grind, also talking about how desperate essentially do you have to be to want a piece of that Carolina backfield. It's not a matter of desperation. It's a matter of roster space. If you're trying to pick one up to use this week, yeah, then you're in a desperate spot. But if you're just grabbing and stashing, then it's a different situation, Ron. We just don't know who's going to get the majority of carries. That's the problem right now. So you're playing a guessing game if both were available. I can't imagine on waiver wires right now, if you have first come, first serve, I can't imagine either running back being there now. Maybe when you woke up this morning, they were, but I can't see either back being on waivers unless it's a very shallow 10-team format that you play in.
Yeah, I doubt they're there at this point, for sure, because I saw a lot picked up last night or today, even Hubbard. So I doubt it. And yeah, I mean, look, anytime you have a potential running back that's working their way into a bigger situation, you take a shot. It might not work out, but you put them on the bench. Who knows? I mean, maybe they surprise us and Foreman comes out, has a big week. Is it likely? Probably not, based on what we've seen with Carolina, but it's certainly possible. And, I want to have that guy on my roster on the bench. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, then you cut him and move on.
Marvin Jones, questionable for Jacksonville. Jamal Agnew is not going to play. And then for the Giants, how shocking is this one, Roan? I'm sure you were very, very shocked, freaked out by this one. Kadarius Toney and Kenny Golladay both ruled out.
That is stunning. I thought they would be back, man. They've been, itching to come back. But, yeah, I mean, look. Same story every week. I mean, Golladay, I gave up on him before the season. I've had hopes for Toney, but, man, I did cut him in most leagues. I have him in my home league because we have that IR spot, so he's tucked on there, hanging out, having a good time. But, yeah, I mean, at this point, who knows if he even plays this year.
Yeah, it's tell you this, for those that added Wan'Dale Robinson. Roan, have you seen anything regarding any kind of limitations for him? I have not seen anything.
No, I would hope he's okay and good to go. I mean, I am starting him in a couple leagues, so
yeah. So hopefully he is not limited at all. I've not seen any kind of reports come out that would say otherwise. For the Packers, Sammy Watkins questionable, and then Randall Cobb, Christian Watson both out for Green Bay. Injuries are still going to be coming out. We'll make sure we update you. Keenan Allen, questionable. Josh Palmer, Donald Parham, both out. So we'll have to see regarding Keenan Allen. Yeah,
they said he's a game time decision. That's what Staley said.
Yeah, I'll say this too. I saw something cross the wire yesterday. Apparently he was asked directly if he wants to come back, or if he would want, rather, another game to rest. And he wants to rest. He wants to be healthy at this point here. I don't know if that's given any indication one week or one way or the other, but that's where you have Keenan Allen. Like, I have Keenan Allen on a team, and it's funny because I have Keenan Allen, and then the one player I have that's not on bye on this bench is actually Wan'Dale Robinson. So that will probably have to be swapped unless Keenan Allen does play. We'll have to stay tuned for that. Jadeveon Clowney and Denzel Ward for Cleveland are both questionable. And then for Washington, Logan Thomas is out. Jahan Dotson, who I thought would be out for sure, he's actually listed as questionable. And that's what's going on right now when it comes to all of the health news. More reports still coming out, and they will be coming out even when we're off. And Rick Kamla is hanging out with you for Bettor Sports Live. For just a few minutes, don't be mad, but we're going to be talking a lot of.
I have to bring something up.
Yeah.
Got the DraftKings happy hour boost.
Uh-oh. What is it?
So this is good until 8 o'clock. Dak Prescott, 2 passing touchdowns or more, boosted to plus 100. I am not playing it.
No. What if it
coming off an injury? I am not doing it. Nope.
No, that's all it is. Just has to throw 2, and that's how you get it.
Yeah, that's it. Just like Herbert needed to throw 1.
Nope. No, but Kevin Durant hit his super boost. The basketball, they want to bring you in. That's the free drug right there. Hey, Road, try it out, man. It's great. You're going to love it. And then, boom, the next few NBA super boosts, you're done. You're finished. They're bad. Here, we're already mid-season form, essentially. So you got to just remember that these super boosts, they don't want you to hit them. They just want you to spend the money, and they want you to.
No, I do. Well, some of these are questionable. I do think they actually want you to hit some of them. So
the early
they know when you win the money,
yes,
you're going to lose it.
They want you to hit.
Yeah.
Like,
but now they're getting. Now, but that Dak one is not a giveaway at all. Coming off an injury, I know it's Detroit, but nah, I'm not doing it.
Nope. But
I hope he gets it.
Someone that we will talk with, we'll flip it to Bet NBA here and talk some DFS, talk some wagering with our guy John Impemba, who you can hang out with every Sunday. He and Andrew Cooper on the Game Day Playbook show. That airs 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern. Let's talk with J.I. John Impemba. Give him a follow at jimpemba777. It is the playbook, your playbook to victory here on BSN.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. Sponsored by Jock Market. Stay in the game. Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla.
That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Better Sports Network.
Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo, he's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL right now. And I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry. Okay, talk to me. This dude has lost his way. Remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing, but overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach, makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I hate the stupid unsportsmanlike conduct. As long as you're not disrespectful to the opponent, you should be allowed to celebrate.
How I used to say it, and to bring up, because now basketball's starting, I'm going to bring up.
It's even worse than basketball, isn't it?
So Dikembe Mutombo, who used to get teed up in the 2000s, in the 90s, they didn't give a crap. 2000s, though, when they tightened up the rules, they used to tee him up more when he did the Dikembe finger wag. But they wouldn't tee him up if he did it to the crowd instead of looking at like Eton Thomas, like one time I remember, and doing it right to him, or when his back was turned, doing it right to him. If he did it to the crowd, they would never call it. And so that makes me wonder if these players, while, yeah, they want to talk a little smack, maybe they should flex towards the crowd than at the player who they're standing over.
I guess.
I know it's soft, man.
It is soft.
Because you know what?
Like we're gonna give 15 yards for that,
bro. They think that, want to know why they're paranoid? They think that's gonna turn into a fight.
See, I disagree with that. That's not going to start a fight.
I agree with you. They don't agree with us.
It's one thing, okay, if you spit in someone's face or say something derogatory, like about their family or something,
right.
Yeah, that can incite it. But if you're just like, yeah, I made that play, what? You know what I mean? Like, again, they know the rules. You got to know you're going to get flagged. You have to have discipline. But, like, I don't know. I have no problem with celebration as long as it's not disrespectful.
What's disrespectful?
It's interpretation, and that's my problem. Watch, it's going to cost someone in a big playoff game, and that's when people are going to go crazy. There'll be a third down play. Someone makes a pass breakup, and they're in someone's face. They're going to throw a flag. It'll extend the drive. That team scores, wins the playoff game because of it. You need something drastic for it to really leave an imprint, and I hope that doesn't happen to my team.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better. However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Better Sports Network.
Justin Fensterman, Adam Ronis back with you. Let's talk some NBA, and then Crop Wars coming up. A 1-point game. Ronis now up by just one here. We'll go 5-on-5. But before we do that, let's bring in our guy, John Impemba from FantasyAlarm.com. Give him a follow on Twitter at jimpemba777. Make sure you hang out with him and Andrew Cooper, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern this Sunday, every Sunday as well for the Game Day Playbook show. What's up, J.I.? Good to see you.
Fancy Adam, doing pretty well. Excited. We have a big NBA slate going on here.
J.I., let me ask you, man, because I got the starting 5 video up on fantasyalarm.com. Just 5 players for all that don't know, 5 players that you should look at. I try to mix up the prices. I don't try to go all chalk. So I give you a value player or 2 in there as well. But 5 players you can rely on, obviously, health permits and everything. But, John, let's start off here. Regarding injuries for tonight, I mean, we know about Zach LaVine, but I don't think that there are too many crazy major injuries. We know LaMelo Ball's not going to play either, right? You haven't seen anything crucial come across, have you?
No, I think the other big one we're probably waiting on is going to be the status of Jamal Murray tonight. You know, they've already talked about a little bit of load management with him. He's coming back from that torn ACL. He left briefly from their game on opening night. He ended up playing 25 minutes in that one. They've mentioned he's going to have a minutes cap. So, you know, there's a potential here that he could end up being ruled out tonight. It's unfortunate that it's a 10 p.m. game if you're playing DFS tonight, you know, because there's no comparable real swap per se at his price point that you'd like. What you'd want to do is most likely play Bones Highland, but he's much cheaper than he is over on DraftKings, so there'd be a lot of salary left over for you. You know, so maybe you stick Murray in your utility and you can pivot off to a Michael Porter or something like that in that game if you're building your DFS lineups. But that's really the only other major injury potential that I'm looking at.
What are some of the games you're looking to target tonight in DFS?
The Wizards and the Bulls, their matchup tonight is one that's going to be pretty heavily stacked, in my opinion. No Zach LaVine. We saw what happened there with DeMar DeRozan when LaVine is out of the lineup. All of the usage goes to him. He's a fantasy point per minute freak. He had a monster opening night. Nikola Vucevic, Ayo DeSono had a really big game there as well. So I'm really looking at that game as a stack option. And if you want to go the other way with it, you can bring back a Kyle Kuzma, Bradley Beal, a Kristaps Porzingis. So there's a lot of good high talent in there. And there's also some value too. DeLon Wright played 25 minutes in that game the other day. Put up some decent production. And Monty Morris played a little over 20 minutes as well. Some value guards on the Wizards side of things. I also like the Nets and the Raptors. Again, the Nets, I don't think are going to play any defense at all this year. The Raptors, we know, have a bunch of guys that can put up some points. We saw the Nets really struggle stopping the Pelicans in opening night. So if you're looking for a high-scoring game there, you can get the most out of Durant, Siakam, Van Vliet. OG Anunoby had a really big game. And Nick Claxton actually came through with a double-double there on opening night as well. So could stack that game also.
Yes, I mean, the Raptors are just going to continue to play their starters heavy minutes. Their bench depth, it's just, and I said this in the video because I have OG Anunoby as one of the players in there. Their bench depth isn't that impressive to me, at least. So that's we saw it last year. As long as they're healthy, we're going to be seeing them play 35, most of them at least 35 plus, and get double-digit shot attempts here as they're going to be utilized heavily. What about this Spurs-Pacers game, though, J.I.? That's one that I'm actually excited about more because the Spurs are in total rebuilding mode, and the Pacers are as well. But the difference is here, the Pacers have the guards because their front court is so damaged at this point that we can't really rely on too many front court options on Indiana. However, you do have Tyrese Halliburton. You do have Benedict Mathurin, who had a very nice game in the opener. And on the other side, you could really go Keldon Johnson, the number one option.
Yeah, Keldon Johnson, I think, is one of the top plays today, especially over on FanDuel. The pricing there is a little bit more reasonable for him, but he's kind of high price across the industry. I'm looking for a bounce back game out of Devin Vassell. Usage rate for him was still really high. He had a 27% usage rate in that opening night game. He just missed every shot. He was 0 for 8 from 3. You know, he didn't really have much going offensively, but he was able to still fill the stat sheet up a little bit. So he didn't totally burn out for those who used him in DFS, but I think this is a really good bounce back spot for him. His price tag is still pretty reasonable across the industry. Halliburton, you're right. For whatever reason, I got a little nervous when they bumped up Halliburton's point prop over on opening night. It was at 15.5. I put it in our Discord to everybody, like, hey, like early lean, like really like Halliburton at 15.5. It got bumped up to 16.5. And even though it was only 1 point, I started being like, last year when he averaged 17.5, they do have more shooters available now in that lineup. And I ended up getting scared off of it, and he just crushed it. And he killed that number all during the preseason as well. And then what do we have it again today? It's right up there. It's like 18, 19.5. So Halliburton's going to be the stud of that lineup. The Benedict Mathurin play, that is interesting because Duarte got hurt in that game. And I brought that up on the DFS podcast that I did with James Ronde about, is he a sneaky DFS value play today? We kind of went back and forth on that because if Duarte didn't go out, would he have played all of those minutes? Duarte's in the lineup tonight. So something to tell right there. And I am waiting a starting lineup for the Pacers because I want to see who's starting at center. They could go with Jalen Smith at center tonight. They started Terry Taylor to 6'6" forward in place of Miles Turner the other day. They have Goga. They have Isaiah Jackson, who they took in the first round last year. So they do have some guys in the front court you could use. I do like Jalen Smith a lot, though, tonight against the Spurs.
The Pelicans, they looked really good the other night. I mean, it was against Brooklyn, Zion Williamson, McCollum, Ingram. They're going up against the Hornets tonight, who also stink. Somehow scored 129 on the Spurs. That's how bad they are.
Yeah.
But we know Pelicans don't have the depth inside to slow down a guy like Zion. So what do you think of some of the Pelicans tonight?
Yeah, listen, for them, the problem really is just price point. If you're going to go play them on DFS, they're all very expensive. McCollum's probably the cheapest of the three you'd want to really use in that offense. Valanciunas finds himself in like a no man's land of price point. Ingram's up there around 7K. He's not bad. Zion, like you mentioned, though, like he's the guy that a lot of ones are going to look at. He's over 9K on FanDuel. He's just under 9K on DraftKings. My problem is like when this game blows out, because I think it's going to blow out, like how much longer do they play Zion, right? Like, do they want to give him out there and have him play all those minutes when it's not unnecessary, sort of knowing his injury history? So I actually don't have a lot of exposure to this Pelicans game in terms of DFS. I did take some of their player props here tonight, but I worry a little bit just kind of figuring this matchup. It's possible that Charlotte just scores, right? And they just make it a track meet, and they may not stop the Pelicans at all, but if they can keep it close because they can, Rozier and Oubre and Hayward and them can just light the bucket up too, then maybe that's what happens. But again, we saw the Pelicans blow out the Nets, so I'm not really sure how that's going to play out.
Hanging out with John and Pemba. Give him a follow on Twitter at jmpemba777. Find all his work at fantasyalarm.com. James Grande, we keep mentioning, is on the DFS playbook there. So just make sure that you're going to fantasyalarm.com, and it will constantly be updated when the injuries come out. Probably something we don't know about because get used to it when it comes to the NBA. Injuries come from out of nowhere. John, I had a very tough time, man, figuring out which center I was going to put in the starting five. I just was not into a lot of the matchups. You mentioned Smith being there, but the two that really I came across that I was deciding between, Pascal Siakam, for obvious reasons. The Nets front court defense is a joke, so he should be able to have success with all that playing time. And then there's Rudy Gobert. And Ronas, I'm ready for that smile on your face there. You were texting me already about the revenge narrative. But more importantly, John, from what we saw from the other game, it seems that he and Towns can coexist on the floor together. It's just, here's the problem. When it comes to Karl Anthony Towns, he'll be hanging around the elbow and the arc more, while Gobert's a specific low block player. So it hurts Towns more than Gobert from a production standpoint here. With Utah, I know Jokic only grabbed 4 rebounds and stuff like that, but still, I'm liking Rudy Gobert even with the expensive price point tonight in this excellent matchup because Utah just doesn't have the muscle to contain him.
Yeah, center wasn't a spot that I spent up for tonight, but I did eye Gobert a little bit, especially in cash games because he already has that little revenge game narrative. Everybody loves the play. Everybody thought Denver was going to blow out Utah, and obviously that didn't end up happening. So maybe Utah a little bit more scrappy than people are going to give them credit for, or it was just a one-night thing, and Denver themselves wasn't really playing at 100%. But Minnesota looked great offensively there, and you're right. Gobert pulled down, 15 or 16 rebounds. He had, like 14 shots in that game, too?
Yeah, he had like 23 and 16, and that was just very encouraging, John, because like we said, we know about Towns. Towns is also his big guy, but he's a little bit softer than Gobert, and that's why I don't think Towns is going to be attacking as much with Gobert starting alongside him.
Yeah, no, listen, a couple of years ago, Towns attempted like 6 or 7 3-pointers per game. Like, I think that's where we're at with Karl Anthony Towns this year. He's going to sit on the perimeter. He's going to stay outside. He's going to shoot the 3. And you're going to see Gobert down there grabbing offensive boards, putting up post shots down low. It's an interesting matchup for them tonight, too. You're looking at a point spread against Utah of 226. It's only an 8-point. They're only 8-point favorites there. So you're looking at a high scoring game at the very least. And like, who's stopping Rudy Gobert? Is it Kelly Olynyk, Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler? Maybe, but like a lot of inexperience, a lot of foul potential down there as well.
I see you have a bunch of props. You do have one of the props that I also wrote up on picks-wise. DeMar DeRozan over 37.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Why do you like that one?
because I think he could get that in just points tonight. He nearly did it the other night, and that's actually bumped up a bit too, Adam. I don't know if you've seen the recent line. It moved up to 38.5. So
Well, I got it at 37.5.
I got it at 37.5 too. So we get in there early, but it is on the move. People are liking it. Listen, again, when the usage rate for him when Zach LaVine's out of the lineup is insane. It's almost 40%. He's a guy that in terms of fantasy point per minute we talked about is like 1.4. And he just filled up the stat sheet. And he's a guy that can score 35 actual points in these positions, especially, again, a team like Washington, defensively, they don't really have anybody that I'm too worried about stopping DeMar DeRozan here. So, I'm a big fan of that PRA for him tonight.
Ronis, you're looking at John's props right now, the list of props that he's interested in right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what prop do you think that I'm most interested in from this group? Take one guess. There's one that completely stands out.
Probably Banchero.
Yes, absolutely.
I was debating writing that up too.
John, this guy is going to wreck opposing swingmen. Let me tell you, the way he's going to attack. I keep saying that Banchero just reminds me from all the of young Tobias Harris, who did nothing but attack down the middle. I love where he landed. I love that the Magic ended up going with him number 1 overall. And after we saw, you're telling me that there's the prop out there as his points line at 16.5. I love the over on that, John.
Yeah, I mean, is John Collins going to start playing defense? Not tonight.
No.
I don't think. So, I'm not really too worried about it. They only played Clint Capella like 20 minutes in that game because they moved Collins to the 5, or they played Agongwu there in an undersized center. So, I'm with you. I don't mind any issue here with Banchero. He's going to be the one that gets a lot of the offense there as well. So I like him. I actually thought maybe you were eyeing Jaden Ivey. I know when we were doing our rankings, you were a big Jaden Ivey guy, and I became a believer during the preseason. That dude just attacked during the preseason, scoring the basketball, and he killed the total. Same exact number it was on opening night. It's 12.5. He went over. It's 12.5 again. I have no problem just running right back to him with that total there at 12.5 points.
What else among these props? What's a couple of your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, the Jason Tatum rebound prop, again, it didn't move from opening night. It's only at 7.5. They don't have Robert Williams. Al Horford is going to be battling out with Bam Adebayo all night. And have you seen who Miami is starting at power forward? It was Caleb Martin the other night. They're bringing off like Duncan Robinson. They're playing Max Struss. Hightower's playing like a couple minutes off the bench. Like they're a very, very undersized team right now is Miami. And I think Tatum's out there to average almost a double-double this year. So that number to me feels pretty low. He went over this total. I think it was in like 5 of the 7 games they played during the postseason against Miami, 2 to 3 games in the regular season against Miami. So Tatum over rebounds is one that I like. And I also like Jaden McDaniel over 3.5 rebounds. He played 35 minutes on opening night. He's their starting small forward, but he's a big small forward. He's like 6'10". The Minnesota Timberwolves are just a huge team. And the fact that Karl-Anthony Towns is going to sit on the end out there, and McDaniels is much more like a slasher, a guy that can play around the rim, I think 3.5 rebounds is pretty easy for him. In games where he played at least 30 minutes last year, he hit the over on that total 75% of the time. So even though Rudy Gobert is going to be there and grabbing all of those rebounds, 4 rebounds for McDaniels, I don't think is going to be too difficult in a game against Utah, where that team's just going to miss a bunch of shots. So I'm willing to take the shot there as well.
Give John and Pemba a follow on Twitter at jandpemba777. Covers multiple sports for fantasyalarm.com. John, one of the props you have out there, Santi Aldama, and just a good opening night from him and also good preseason. And sometimes we have to be careful with these guys in preseason, but Jaren Jackson Jr., shocker, not in uniform, hurt once again. So with that, and because we don't know when we're going to be seeing JJJ, but at the same time, when it comes to Aldama, this is a player that could get some serious run here. And even when Jaren Jackson is eventually ready, he could still find himself with a rotation spot. I mean, this is someone that can stretch the floor. You clearly like it. You have a prop on his threes tonight, but also attacking, and Houston's still not stopping anyone in the interior. So he could burn you multiple ways.
He took 8 3-pointers on opening night. So his numbers at 1.5. He was 3 for 8 on opening night. Now he's facing a Houston team that is not going to play any defense. It's another game that has a super high total of 232 here. He played over 30 minutes in that game. Granted, again, it was an overtime game against the Knicks, but just the fact that he took 8 3-point attempts and it's only 1.5 makes, like, I'm fine with that. That's a guy that if he's going to be giving you that kind of volume, I'm going to buy into the 1.5. So I'll take my shot on it.
Ben Simmons, you got over 6.5 assists. Is he going to stay in the game?
Well, that's the thing, right? He fouled out after 20 minutes, but he had 5 assists in that game. So, if he's able to stay healthy, and not healthy, but stay out of foul trouble against Toronto here and play 30 minutes, he's still the ball distributor in that offense. He's a guy that brings it up. He's got the ball in his hands. He can dish out to Irving. He can dish out to Durant. He's not there to score. They don't want him to score. They're not asking him to score the basketball. Just the fact that he had 5 when he fouled out in 20 minutes, I think 6.5 is just too low in this game. So, again, willing to take the risk on the over of the 6.5 assists here.
John, you host here on Bettor Sports Network every Sunday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern, and you and Andrew Cooper are going to be chopping it up about football. What exactly can our Bettor fans expect to see from you heading into your Sunday show?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we do a game-by-game breakdown. We go through, we update all the recent news. We talk about the strategies that we like around certain storylines, certain players. And we also, we answer your start-sit questions, right? You download the Bettor Sports app from the iTunes Store to Google Play Store. It's free. You get in, you join the show, you ask your questions in the chat, and Coop and I are there to answer your start-sit questions. We also simulcast the show on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube page. You can go to the YouTube page, get in the chat there, get your questions answered and whatnot. So we get you ready basically for Sunday, leading into the Front Yard Fantasy show that's right after us. And then, Adam's show there from 1 to 5 is on Bettor Zone. So a big day of Sunday over at the Bettor Sports Network.
Will Nick Durst be stopping by?
No, because the Jets and the Giants are both on the road this week. So no Nick Durst this weekend.
Yes, Big Bun
loves you. However, will be stopping by Fensty. You'll be on the show.
Yes, sir. I will be. For a second, I'm like, nope, I will be on your show. Yes. And I will remember to. Don't you worry. Very excited, though, to join you guys and talk fantasy football with you. John, it's been great talking NBA with you. It's just the season being back. All three of us, huge NBA fans. We're going to be bringing you on more as well to chop it up about the NBA. Thanks for stopping by the playbook.
Anytime. There's nothing better than talking some basketball with you two.
Exactly. Basketball's the best. You all know it. Even in the chat, you know NBA is the best. I'm going to get hated on right now. He's Adam Rodas. I'm Justin Fensterman. It is time to continue Prop Wars. Week 7, Rodas and I, here's a stat for you. Whenever we bet the same prop, we never hit it. So if we end up betting the same prop, you either might want to take the opposite side of it or just not bet it at all, because that's what we do here on the Playbook on BSN.
Don't miss the Playbook, presented by FantasyAlarm.com at 5 p.m. Eastern. Sponsored by Jock Market. Stay in the game.
Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
Moose and Keith with you. Let's welcome aboard right now, Iron Eagle.
One of the great stories that I have from doing notes on a plane, and you always get people looking over. They see color-coded uniform numbers, names, height, weight, age, background, hometown. And I had a woman sitting next to me on a flight, and I'm doing my notes, and she's kind of giving the look, then looking, and I can tell she's looking. And then finally, she'll say, so what is it that you do? Well, what do you think I do? She said, are you a wedding planner? I said, yes. I said, I have to put Rob Gronkowski at Tom Brady's table. I said, you know what? You're not correct, but it's the best answer I've ever heard.
That's great. Corey Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media.
Fantasy Life Fantasy Executive. It's going to be a football life. The Fantasy Executive is probably going to be the best football life ever.
We'll be the guest. Everyone who was on yesterday, basically.
Yeah, everybody that's on yesterday will be the guest. Scott Ingram, you know what I'm saying? Adam Rodas. Yeah, everybody, those people. Because what Nando, obviously you'll be there. You know what I'm saying? We'll go to the GST and shoot some scenes. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be nice.
We'll shoot some scenes in Midtown Manhattan. Antonio Brown can be on my football life,
That'd
right?
Be nice.
Because that's a big part of my come up as a fantasy analyst. Everybody, the football life, the fantasy executive is going to be for the people. When they do the football life on the fantasy executive, I'm going to be hands on.
Good. Yeah. You talking to you.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Cheetos or Doritos?
I
truly love both. Cool Ranch Doritos. I grew up on Cheetos. I was a big Chester Cheetah guy.
Oh, nice.
But Ray, as I have aged into adulthood, I've moved away from the fun that is the Cheeto, and I've gone to the, more cosmopolitan Cool Ranch Dorito chip. So I'm probably a Cool Ranch guy. How about you?
I would go Doritos. I don't like Cool Ranch. The traditional, original, regular, whatever it is really good. But my favorite's actually the sweet chili, the purple bag. Oh, delicious. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the one that sucks, and I think we can all agree on this one, taco.
Yeah.
I know a lot of things, and I'm perfect at a lot of things. My Dorito trivia is a little shaky.
Okay.
A little shaky, but I think taco is the first flavor.
This is the Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com and sponsored by Jock Market. Make real money every second of the game.
This weekend in the National Football League, there's more on fantasy matchups and bets against the spread. The Playbook presents Prop Wars, a clash for gambling supremacy in the world of Dagobet. Here are your combatants, Fensty and Ronis.
In a 1-point game, cutting down that deficit week by week. Here we go. By now, if you're hanging with us here on BSN on the Playbook, you know that we go 5 on 5 when it comes to prop wars, and you can utilize some of these props as well. Ronis up 16-15 here, getting very close. We'll see what happens this week. But before we get to our props for week number 7, let me remind you, because we talk about prop wars. Well, what about war and a matchup there? Are you the biggest Cowboys or 49ers fan? If you are, we're giving away Alvin Harper, John Taylor jerseys. Follow us on Twitter at Bettor Network to win. Show us your fandom. Reply to our pinned tweet and use the hashtags, either hashtag Corey's Cowboys or hashtag Henry's 49ers. For the jersey you want, you have all weekend to do this. You submit a video or a photo to Twitter at Bettor Network using the hashtags, either hashtag Henry's 49ers or hashtag Corey's Cowboys in order to enter. You must use the hashtag. The promotion goes all weekend long. So on Monday between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern, when Corey, Nando, and friends are on, but right before us, here on BSN, the winner will be picked. We give away a lot of free autographed memorabilia. All you got to do is download the app. And if you, let's say, have a friend that's either a Cowboys or a 49ers fan, like Roan, if he didn't have the app, I'd be texting my best friend, Adam Ronis, dude, you can win a jersey. Go download the app and make sure you're also, by the way, hashtagging on Twitter as well if you're a Cowboys fan. Corey's Cowboys, if Ronis, who needs more jerseys here, because look who's celebrating Jersey Friday and look who's not. The Roan man needs more jerseys. So I would tell Adam Ronis to make sure you use the hashtag, tweet at Bettor Network, and then you can win. Roan, we got to get you in on this, man. We got to up that jersey collection just a little bit.
Okay, start buying me some.
Start buying you. I did buy you one. You have yet to wear it. So with that,
yes, I have.
Wait, you've worn the Griffey jersey?
Definitely. I don't know about on this show, but I've worn it. I'll wear it next week. I'll wear it next week.
There we go. Should we match? Should we wear the same Griffey jersey so that we both go 0 for 5 in props?
No, let's not do that.
Then we
like
won't
losing money. I don't like losing money.
Do not match. I don't love matching as well. I don't love it. Do you like matching, Ronis? Like when you have your significant other, do you like matching at all or no?
No.
Would you ever do a dual Halloween costume? Halloween's coming up.
No, I will not be able to celebrate Halloween, unfortunately.
No, well, I know that, but let's say that you were. Let's say you were, and when you were coupled up, would you do like a couple's costume type of thing?
No.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I did it one year, Batman, Batgirl. That was about back in 2007, a zillion years ago at this point here. Let's go and talk prop wars. As always, Roan and I come up with lists of props, and then with the props we don't use, then we just talk about whether or not we would go after those props. The final drive coming up before we send you off to Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Live. All right, Roan, you still have the lead here, so you have the honors, my friend. What prop are you going with for prop number 1?
Kenneth Walker over 68.5 rushing yards, minus 115 on BetMGM. He's become the workhorse back there for Seattle. Seattle's been running the ball very well. The offensive line has been better than we thought. The overall running backs for Seattle this year are averaging 5.3 yards per carry. The Chargers allow 5.6 yards per carry. They're ranked 22nd in run defense DVOA. We saw Walker 2 weeks ago, 8 for 88. Last week when he had the full workload, 21 for 97. He's averaging 5.5 yards per carry himself. And the Chargers are allowing 116 rushing yards per game to running back. So really like what we see with Kenneth Walker so far in a limited sample. I think he's capable of breaking off a big run anytime. And if he does that, then, we should get to this number. He had a 34-yard run last week, a 69-yard run the week before. Even week 2, when he only had a handful of touches, he had a 21-yard run. So, if we get 20, 25-yard carry, you don't really need much more. And the workload is going to be there for him. So I like Kenneth Walker's rushing prop this week.
Damn, that's on my list too. But I have
don't play
Ken Walker. I have 2 Walker. I have to make the decision right now whether or not I want to play the same Ken Walker prop you're playing. So I'll go with the one that interested me a little bit more because I love both of them, the yardage one that you have. But I'm going to go with the over for Kenneth Walker on 15.5 carries for him. So on the rush attempts, over 15.5.
What book do you see 15.5?
I saw it on DraftKings. Has that changed since?
Yeah, 16.5.
All right, then. I am going over 16.5 carries there for Ken Walker, who had 20 there. So it's now, it's really up to 16.5 now.
Yeah.
Oh. Darn it. Yeah, you know what? I'm still going to go with it anyway. I think that they're going to be utilizing him a lot. Like you said, they run very successfully on the Chargers teams. So I'm going to go with the over 16.5 carries. A little bit disappointing. I thought I was going to just need 16. Now I'm going to need 17. So that's going to be my first prop here. So in a way where you just need him to get the yardage without getting the carries. So we'll have to wait and see there. So you and I both on Ken Walker. Let's see where else we match. Roan, what is prop number 2?
I'm hoping we don't at this point because that has not worked out well for us. And then that means I'll probably have to back out if that's the case.
I hope it. Don't trust me. I was as disappointed as you were.
But I guess it can't continue like that all the time, right?
No, it can't. Well, we're giving what we have last year the same prop. Mike Evans last week.
Yeah,
like that looked like a very easy
that one is just that was so bizarre.
Yeah, to the Steelers. Come on, man. It stunk to lose it, but that was the most logical prop either one of us had on our list.
For sure. All right. I am going to go back to a Bucs receiver, but a different one. We're going to go Chris Godwin over 61.5 receiving yards, minus 115 on DK. Looks healthy. He had a 34.2% target share last week. 6 catches, 95 yards on 12 targets. I think he is the guy that Brady looks to go to more. I think Evans is more the big play guy, but we've seen Godwin now in 2 of his last 3 games have 10 and 12 targets. And last week was the first time he went over this number, but I think he goes there here. I mean, it's Carolina. They need this game in the worst way. Not only do they need it, they need to pummel the Panthers. And I know we expected it last week against Pittsburgh, and it didn't happen, but it was on the road. It was Mike Tomlin. But this Carolina Panthers team is just in disarray. Made the coaching change. Now they traded McCaffrey. Robbie Anderson was traded. I mean, they're just a mess. I don't see how Tampa Bay doesn't roll on them this week. So I'm going to go with Chris Godwin here. I think he's in line for a big, big week.
13 points spread right now in that game. So hopefully the Tampa Bay offense can get right there. Point of order, Ken Walker, you said over 68.5 rush yards?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So that is your second prop right there. Not going to Mike Evans, but going to Chris Godwin, the over 61.5. I like that one very much. Here's one for you, Roan. And this is one I actually talked about during the hash out here because the number was 33. And now you can check me on this one as well to make sure. But I still saw on DraftKings Sportsbook as of about a couple hours ago, Matt Ryan over 33.5 pass attempts. Is that you're kind of the checker here to make sure everything's on the up and up. So I like it very. He's been throwing. He's going to need to throw more. I really do like points being scored in this Indy.
What did you say the number is?
33.5.
It's 34.5 on DraftKings, BetMGM, and Caesars.
God, they're just moving up again more and more. You know what? We're still going with it anyway. Can Matt Ryan have another 40 plus pass day? I think so too. I'm thinking it's pretty safe. Even with Taylor back in the mix, Ryan's still going to need to throw. So I'm going to go with the over 34.5 pass attempts for Matty Ice, who I'm actually streaming in a couple of leagues too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking to stream him this week with some of the quarterbacks in buy, and he was pretty much available on the waiver wire in many leagues.
Very much so. So 34.5 pass attempts there, Roan. So you have so far Ken Walker over 68.5 yards on the ground, and I've got Ken Walker over 16.5 rush attempts. And then you've got Chris Godwin over 61.5 receiving yards, and I have Matt Ryan over 34.5 pass attempts. What's prop number 3 for you?
It is Davante Adams over 80.5 receiving yards, minus 114 on FanDuel. We've seen Adams average 83 yards per game, so he just needs to go over his average. The Texans have been brutal against the pass. They're allowing 12.3 yards per reception. And Adams has at least 101 yards in 3 of 5 games. I know he's had 2 down games, but Darren Waller's out. Hunter Renfro's not 100%. Yeah, they're going to run Jacobs, but coming off the bye at 1-4, they need this game. I think they'll pepper Adams with a lot of targets. And the Texans have given up games of 121 yards to Pittman, 122 to Cortland Sutton, 120 to Mike Williams, and 104 to Marvin Jones. So Davante Adams is in good company there. I have to imagine, again, that you're going to see double-digit targets in this game for him. He has double-digit targets in 3 of the 5 games. He had the bad game against Arizona, which was kind of inexplicable, and it cost them because they only had 2 for 12 in that game, and they lost in overtime. And then the other game he failed was Tennessee, 5 of 36 on 10 targets. But the last 2 games, 101, 124 yards. Good matchup here against Houston, so I'll go Davante Adams over 80.5 yards.
Yes, I like that one too. Man, that's good. That wasn't on the list, but kind of wish it was now, Ron. You're pretty good at this, I'd say.
We'll find out on Sunday nights.
Hasn't been a couple of good Sundays.
The logic always sounds good on Friday.
It does. Then all of a sudden the Buccaneers put up 18 points, and that's it. And Evans, it doesn't even come within 20 yards of going over the prop that we had last.
Yeah, that one. Sometimes you just like, all right, it all made sense. Didn't work. On to the next one.
No. All right, Roan, here's another one that you can double check for me here because I said this before and I'm going to stick with it. And that I don't know how many better matchups Allen Lazard is going to get, starting to separate himself in this Packers receiving core. If you look at the target distribution, though, him and Dobbs, they're running neck and neck with each other. We've seen a couple of games where they've gotten targeted the same amount here. But this time around, I'm going to actually go with the Allen Lazard receiving yards over 48.5. As I've said, the Commanders, very easy team to throw on. And I think that when it comes to the Packers offense, while, yeah, they're going to be targeting Dobbs, and we expect Aaron Jones to get a few more receptions and a few more targets thrown his way, the Packers are still dealing with a few injuries on the receiving front here. We're not going to have Randall Cobb, no Christian Watson either. So, Rowan, I'm going to go over 48.5 receiving yards for Allen Lazard for my third prop.
Yeah, I looked at that one as well, thinking that Green Bay needs a big game here, and Lazard's been the go-to guy, and he's gone over in 2 of the last 3 as well, and he's had a couple of big plays this year. He had a 35-yarder last week, a 32-yarder against New England. So, yeah, I mean, and he's got 8 targets, at least 8 targets in 3 straight games. So you would think so. So I considered that one as well.
Yeah, I like that one. I've had that one marked for the last few days here, just trying to take advantage of the matchup here. So we've got 3 props each thus far. Another 2 upcoming here. Adam Ronis has Ken. We both have Ken Walker props, but relax, different props this time around. I got the over 16.5 rush attempts, so I'm thinking that he's going to be getting close to 20 once again. Ronis, though, went another route. He has over 68.5 yards on the ground. So let's say he ends up getting 3 carries, 1 long run. Boom, just like that. I could be a loss. Ronis could be a win when it comes to that. Ronis also has Chris Godwin over 61.5 receiving yards and Devontae Adams over 80.5 receiving yards. My other 2 props, Matt Ryan over 34.5 pass attempts. And I keep saying it, I'm thinking they're going to be a good amount of points scored in this game. And then just unveiling Alan Lazard over 48.5 receiving yards. Want to go over, Rome, before we get back to the rest of Prop Wars here, as we both have another 2 props to give. Ron, tell me if you've seen any other updates here. I'm going to go over some of the injuries, and you can look to see if there's anybody else that has been designated or added on to the report. Because from what we've seen thus far, here's what we're looking at. Jonathan Taylor should return, but Shaq Leonard will be out. Nyheim Hines as well should be back. When it comes to Christian McCaffrey, from the reports that we're seeing, that he should play, but it could be, and it will probably likely be on a limited basis, but from the reports that we're seeing, could be utilized in the red zone. And hey, if he's going to get 8 to 10 carries and that's it for this weekend for the 49ers, then if he's getting them in the red zone, then he can very easily score a touchdown or 2, and that's all you need on limited carries, so be careful there. DeAndre Swift, Josh Reynolds, both questionable for Detroit. No DJ Chark there. For Baltimore, not only will J.K. Dobbins not play, but he's going to miss the next 4 to 6 weeks after having knee surgery. Rashad Bateman, Roan, who we'll stop here for a second. Rashad Bateman, who you and I talked about, Lamar Jackson desperately needs this guy back. We can only survive here, especially after the first 3 games of action where it was him and Jalen Hurts as leading dogs with the quarterbacks, both of them and Josh Allen. Ever since then, has not been good from the fantasy standpoint. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't hit the 20-point mark in each of his last 3 games. And that's part of the reason is he's not throwing many touchdown passes anyway, not rushing them in. We need more than one, and he's going to need Bateman to help him out with that, Ronan. Rashad Bateman, questionable for this game.
Yeah, he's been practicing this week, though, on a limited basis. So I think he does play. I mean, they are listing him as questionable. So I'm guessing he does play. They do have a Thursday night game, so it is a short week. But I think they would look at the divisional game as more important here against Cleveland. That's more important than a game against Tampa. So my guess is he plays.
Who are we left with Christian McCaffrey, now a member of the 49ers? Well, you've got Deonta Foreman. You also have Chuba Hubbard as well. Who's going to be the starter? No one knows. I don't even think Coach Wilkes knows. So from what we can expect right now, 50-50 timeshare unless told otherwise within the next 48 hours. But that's what we're looking at. Baker Mayfield, doubtful. Laviska Shenault, questionable. Russell Wilson, also questionable for the Broncos. For the Dolphins, Jalen Waddle, Xavier Howard, and Teron Armstead are all questionable. Tyler Lockett is questionable for the Seahawks. Kenny Pickett, Pat Freiermuth, both successfully cleared the concussion protocol. Elijah Moore, good news was at the early front that he was back at the Jets facility, so maybe the dramatics have kind of simmered down. But then Coach Saleh for the Jets comes out and says, not only will we not honor any kind of trade request, but he'll be inactive for Sunday's game. So he is out. Denzel Mims is being active for this game, should take his place. For the Raiders, we were seeing that Hunter Renfrow should be in for that, but no Darren Waller, which is huge with that tight end pool, taking out another critical tight end there. Good luck with your tight end position. Marvin Jones, questionable. Jamal Agnew out for Jacksonville. Julio Jones, Cameron Brate, both out for Tampa Bay. Carlton Davis is questionable. No Kadarius Toney or Kenny Golladay once again for the Giants. For the Packers, Sammy Watkins questionable. No Randall Cobb or Christian Watson this weekend. Kyle Phillips questionable for the Titans. And then Keenan Allen, he's questionable. Josh Palmer, Donald Parham, both are going to be out. And then for the Browns, Denzel Ward and Jadeveon Clowney, both questionable. Logan Thomas for Washington is going to be out. Jahan Dotson, though, he is questionable. Roan, anything else that I missed from that plethora of injuries I just talked about?
Keenan Allen is a game time decision. If he does play, he will be on a pitch count.
Ugh. You hate hearing that, don't you? I mean, how do you handle situations like that? Especially with Keenan Allen, who's missed multiple games.
It depends on what my options are. A guy like Keenan Allen, I'm more likely to play him if he's active because he can go 5 for 60, maybe score a touchdown. And no Palmer.
Keenan Allen or Wan'Dale Robinson?
I probably would go Keenan Allen there.
Yeah, just who knows with the Giants passing.
But, I mean, I got to take it up until Sunday, see what more of the reports are, see if there's anything in warm-ups, a lot of different things. So I don't make the decision today. I kind of wait till Sunday to see if there are any more encouraging reports or discouraging reports.
Oh, seeing a snap count or whatever, that's one of the most discouraging things that you could see when you're a fan.
Because we've seen it go both ways. It doesn't work out where the guy doesn't play much, or he winds up playing more than we thought and produces. So there's no easy answer.
There was one situation, and I have brought this up before, I think 2 years ago with Aaron Jones. It was a Thursday night game. We were told he'd be on a snap count, and then he went out and he was out there every play smashing.
Yeah, I played him that night, so I was okay with it.
Good for you. Wow, balls on you. You played him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, too. Sometimes, they go out there and they're like, yeah, I feel good, man. I'm good. I don't need to sit, So, or you have a situation like Dotson in practice this week where he comes up limping. But I'm pretty sure they're not going to do that. And Keenan Allen's a veteran that knows his body. You talked about what he said before, how he didn't want to risk it. So, if they're going to put him out there this week, I probably am inclined to play him in most situations, especially with such a difficult bye week.
And speaking of bye weeks, I believe the Chargers bye week, and I don't have it in front of me, I believe is next week, right? Isn't that the situation with them?
If it is, and he goes out and plays, then I would be even more inclined to play him.
Right.
Then
why not rest him through the bye then if he's missed multiple games? So if he's out there.
Yeah, they are on bye. It's only 2 teams next week, the Chiefs and the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, so it's maybe he is more on the side of healthy if they're willing to put him out there instead of giving him a couple of weeks rest.
I wonder if those – okay, no, they don't play each other the following week. Interesting. Oh, my God. The Chiefs, after their bye, play the Titans on a Sunday night?
That'll be –
I mean, I know the Titans are competitive, but that's not appealing.
No.
Oh, my goodness. And then – after the Bucks Ravens on Thursday, the following Thursday, November 3rd, Eagles Texans. Ugh.
But what? Texans been keeping. They're not going to keep this game close though. They're not. The Eagles are on another level.
It's Thursday night. They're a home dog. You never know, but I doubt it.
The Texans. Watch them tie again this time with the Eagles there. Then you see them tie. Are the Eagles for real? Teams are going to have bad days. Okay. Teams are just going to have bad games sometimes. Teams are going to have bad losses. The Bengals went to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Jets last year, Roan. They lost to the freaking Jets last year, and then they go to the Super Bowl. Teams just have bad days, right? I sometimes think one bad game, 2 bad games, it's fine. But then when you start to get to the 4 or 5 area, then you're a bit concerned.
Yeah. But I mean, look, we went over the Eagles schedule, and I think there are going to be people who think they can go undefeated. I don't think it could happen in today's era.
Ronis, there are people who think that the Giants aren't going to lose another game for
They're going to lose this week.
Ronis, the exterminator.
Let me see. I know a lot of money is on them because everyone's like, how can the Giants be underdogs against the Jags? And I know the Jags have not been good lately, but this could be about, okay, it's not as lopsided as I thought, but still, I see like 65%.
That's not
money.
bad.
That's a lot, though.
Well, a lot is.
It feels like a trap. It feels like a trap to me, man.
Bigger trap, them or the Chiefs? Giants. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I love that. Jared Moore saying it would be classic for the Giants to lose. And then everyone's like, it's okay. Starter step. Still going to the NFC Championship. I know being fans of these New Jersey teams, I get that everybody's very excited. I'm kind of excited that the Jets are over 500. But at the same time, let's relax. We have a long season to go.
This will be the week. All the money is on the New York teams, and they both don't cover.
Right. Yeah, that's generally how it goes. And then the books always win. He's Ronis. I'm Fensty. Let's get you back to Prop Wars. We each have 2 more to go before the final drive. And then we send you off to Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla here on BSN.
We'd like to thank Jock Market for sponsoring the Playbook with Fensty and Ronis. Jock Market. Make real money every second of the game.
We talk a lot about Jock Market, one of our sponsors here of the Playbook, because they offer daily markets for sports that let you buy and sell these shares of athletes. Different from DFS, you're buying and selling the shares with other users for real money, and each share gets you a guaranteed payout at the end of the night of respective contests. And you can download that Jock Market right now. There's a link in the app that you can click and sign up for free to check it out. And then obviously you're putting in money. It's like the stock market. You download now using the promo code Playbook to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Your first market will also be risk-free with losses refunded up to $100. Download the Jock Market app right now using promo code Playbook. It's just another way for all of those that are big business and stock market, Wall Street fans, you Gordon Geckos out there. This is a way that you can combine sports and fantasy with these stocks, shares, everything that you could want with that. And there's going to be a recommendation on what you should spend so you don't get outbid on those shares, especially during the IPO portion before all of a sudden the shares are distributed once the IPO portion is over. And if you want to buy some shares, that's great. However, somebody else can outbid you for those shares, and that's why you have to pay attention, kind of like the stock market too, where you just have to be paying attention as there's a lot of variable change. And just like that, your shares, and you can be thinking you're sitting pretty, you're going to win some money, you're going to get a nice return. You got to check to see if you still have those shares, because if you have those shares, then yeah, you're going to cash, but you could be outbid for those shares, and that's not good. And that's where the bidding price goes up and up. So when you're on the Jock Market app and you want to buy and invest in on a player, make sure that you're buying them at a share at a price that's a little bit more than just 50 cents on the dollar ahead of what they currently are there. It's a lot of strategy, because you could think you have a great value and all of a sudden someone undercuts you, buys the shares, and all of a sudden you're SOL.
Yeah, and that could happen with a guy that is low priced and then everyone else sees the same thing.
Better Sports Network is sponsored by Jock Market. We'd like to thank Jock Market for sponsoring the Playbook with Fensty and Ronis. Jock Market. Make real money every second of the game.
Back here on the Playbook, looking up Jock Market actually here, Rome, because looking at someone that we're both invested in, Ken Walker. Right now, his price, if you want to buy shares on Jock Market, and you heard all about the promotion we talked about, or a show sponsored by Jock Market involving stocks and shares of actual NFL players. Ken Walker's current stock price, $4.97 right now, Roan. People loving Ken Walker. So how it works is, if you wanted to get in during the IPO initial phase there, you could get those shares at $4.97 per shares, get paid out if you think Ken Walker is going to be finishing as a top back. And he absolutely should, with this amazing matchup going up against the Chargers week against running backs. And he's going to certainly get the volume here. That's from my Prop Wars, thinking he's getting at least 17 carries in this game. So if you're at $4.97 right now, you can buy a few shares there, but then you got to be careful. You can't just go to sleep and be like, I'll wait until Sunday. Somebody else can actually outbid you on those shares. So you could be in a bidding war for shares, and the stock price goes up for Jock Market. Again, Ken Walker, I'm looking right there at $4.97, recommended bid at $5.11. If you really want, though, to put some distance between you and another investor, you maybe go up to $6 a share if you love it that much. Shares are then distributed once the IPO phase is over around game time, and then you get to watch your player and see if those shares pay off in real money. I bring up Ken Walker at the $4.97 mark on Jock Market app. Why? Because both of us have Ken Walker. Uh-oh, Roan, you okay? The police are after you.
Yeah, they're like, wait, you guys can't have a similar prop. This doesn't work. Oh, no, it did last week. We had Breece Hall props, different ones, and they both cashed. So
they did. Dude, you know I went right back to DraftKings Sportsbook to try to find that one again. It wasn't up, though. I didn't see any Jets Broncos props.
Yeah, I'm worried about. Oh, I do see his props now, but I'm worried about the matchup. Like, I want to take it, but you saw the Broncos have been really good defensively, so I am going to avoid it. Hopefully I'm wrong because I am playing him in a league, but yeah, I mean, we saw Eckler really not have a good game against them, so that's my concern about that is the matchup here against Denver. Let me see.
Oh my God. That's wow. It's at 15.5 as rush attempts, Brees Hall.
It's 71 for rushing yards, 71 and a half. Denver has allowed one back to go over 100 yards this year. It was Jacobs, and he had 28 carries for 144. Jeff Wilson had 12 for 75. Eckler only had 14 for 36. And what did we say? It was 15 and a half?
For the rush attempts.
They've only had one running back go over that number against them this year. That was Jacobs.
But the Jets have given him 17.
I know. All right. Well, you can make your decision if you want it. So I'll go with mine now.
Go.
Brees Hall. Just kidding. I'm going Tyreek Hill over 6.5 receptions plus 105 on DK. He's gone over this in 5 of 6 games playing with 3 different quarterbacks. He's had 8, 11, 2. That was against Buffalo when they didn't run any plays. They had the ball 19 minutes, 10, 7, and 12. His targets 12, 13, 4. That was the Buffalo game. 14, 7, and 15. Tua will be back. I mean, they're going up against Pittsburgh. Maybe they get a couple guys back, but we know where the football is going, and Tyreek is just heavily targeted, man. So I got to play this at plus money, and I think that line's going to move. But I know it seems like a high number, but he has at least 7 receptions in 5 of 6 games, 3 games of double digits. So give me Tyreek Hill over 6.5 receptions at plus money.
I'm kind of surprised that prop is available right now. Because, well, I mean, I'm guessing then the books are thinking that Waddle's going to play then. Because normally I feel like
it doesn't sound like he's not going to play.
Right. Well, and this is a bigger indicator of that, because I feel like if he was really in danger of missing the game, we wouldn't be having these Tyreek Hill props out right now.
Probably, yeah. I mean, he's just he's been insane though, man. So yeah, I mean, I guess the yards. I mean, you could look at the yards too.
Right.
I mean, he has at least 94 in 4 of 6. The game against the Jets, he was 7 for 47 though. I'd rather take the receptions though.
So I'm gonna have to think about this for a second here, because Tyreek Hill was on the list, but now instead I'm gonna go a different direction. I'm gonna go back to the rush attempts props, and someone that I'm gonna go with here, and minorly risky, but we've talked about how the Packers offense just hasn't looked that great. So I'm gonna wager on this a little bit and say that, yeah, the Commanders may be down, but Brian Robinson, his rush attempts were very low when I was checking before, and I'm going to check it right now while I happen to be on the page. I mean, it's gone down, I think, since I last checked it even. And I'm trying to figure out why it would go down. But Brian Robinson at 13.5 carries. I just think that number is pretty low. I know we've only seen him once thus far and go over that. And, he was eased in the first week. Then he was given the majority of the carries there. I know that there are other backs there, but I'm still thinking that he's going to be the guy. And I really like this number. And I know that the under on DraftKings is at minus 120. I'm actually going to take the over on that, Roan. And I'm going to go that Brian Robinson is going to get at least 14 carries in this game against the Packers.
I'm very scared of that prop.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's looked good. He's averaging 3.2 yards per carry. I thought Gibson looked better than him last week. I felt like they were forcing the ball to him. Like they wanted this story to, I mean, yeah, it's a great story. He came back, but I thought they were forcing it. I was like, he's not getting anything. And then Antonio Gibson comes in and looks better than him. I mean, Gibson averaged 7 yards a carry, 5 for 35, 3 for 18 in the passing game. And then Rivera, didn't he say after the game, yeah, we got to get Gibson the ball more?
Yes.
Then if they fall behind, you have more McKissick. I don't trust that prop, man. I get it. Everyone thinks Robinson's the guy now. I am not that convinced, man. And I can't take the over on that number. And I think there's a reason why that is plus money on the over and why it's gone down.
Yeah, people are a little bit scared there. I mean, I'm thinking at least we got to see Gibson be a little bit consistent here to scare me off a little bit more. I mean, look, you're right about last week. He did look better. So 14 carries can do with Gibson still getting work. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But that one's one I've been eyeing. So I'm going with it still over the 13 and a half carries, the under with the odds there juiced up a little bit more than the over for Brian Robinson. What about you for number 5?
Should I go with a kicker?
You've wanted to for a few weeks now.
I know, man. I will not. I will go Dameon Pierce over 66.5 rushing yards, minus 115 on BetMGM. They've made him the feature back. They keep feeding him the ball. They're coming off a bye, so people might have forgot about him. But, man, he's been looking good. And he's gone over this number in 4 straight games with 69, 80, 131, and 99. Gotten 15, 20, 14, and 26 carries in that span. I don't think they're going to get blown out here by the Raiders. He's averaging 4.8 yards per carry. They clearly trust him at this point. So as long as they stay competitive for most of the game, which, again, I think they will, they'll keep feeding him the football and running with him. Vegas is kind of like middle of the pack against the run, but look who they've gone against. Kansas City last week, who doesn't really run the ball much. I mean, McKinnon had 8 for 53. Then they went against Denver, who had struggle running. Derrick Henry had 85 against them. Arizona, who doesn't run the ball well. And the Chargers, who didn't run it a lot in week 1. So they really have not been tested. And the Texans will run the football. So I like Dameon Pierce here. I almost went with a kicker.
Yeah, I like that Dameon Pierce prop too. I was checking that one out. That one, though, is not going to be the final prop. I do like that. Hey, if there's anybody that you can trust on this squad, it's him. And he's come through huge. I know that you got him late in an early draft. I got him in a league that you and I are in together. So this is where things become interesting, Rome, because I'll tell you what I'm eyeing now that your props are exhausted. I mean, I'm eyeing a few things here. I'm eyeing the Josh Jacob receptions prop, because he's been targeted at least 5 times in 3 straight games. It was sitting there last I checked at 2.5. I'm also checking out the receiving yards prop as well, going in that same matchup here, man. So I think that's the direction that I'm going to go here, because I don't know if I can count on the 5 passes to be caught again from him, but I'm thinking that for Josh Jacobs, I've got 3 options here. I've got Josh Jacobs over 81.5 yards on the ground. I got Josh Jacobs over 16.5 receiving yards and over the 2.5 receptions. Those are the 3 I'm choosing from right now, man. And I think I'm going to go with my gut. And that was where I originally started. Josh Jacobs over 16.5 yards in the air, Rome. What do you think about that? Of the 3, did I make the right choice for the over? It's official now, so you could tell me.
Probably. I mean, it's crazy because he's had 3 okay games and then 2 monster games. And the last 3 games, though, he has been involved in the passing game. I guess the risk is if they do play from ahead, do they not pass them as much? But again, they've been in competitive games. They're 1-4, but they should be better. They blew that game against Arizona where they were up 23-6, lost in overtime. They lost by 5 to the Chargers, 2 by the Titans, 1 to the Chiefs, and then beat Denver by 9, even though that was a competitive game. So they've been in competitive games. And I guess there's a risk they blow out the Texans. I don't think so. I think the Texans can stay competitive for a bit. Maybe the Raiders pull away late. So, but yeah, Jacobs' props are pretty good. I think he'll probably be popular in DFS too, not knowing his salary offhand. But he looks like he's in a good spot this week. We know the Texans have struggled against the run.
What were some of your other props that you opted not to go with?
Evan McPherson over 1.5 field goals.
Okay.
2 weeks in a row, he hasn't hit it. And he was like 8 or 9 straight weeks. And I expect them to move the football. And Atlanta's defense has actually been pretty good in the red zone. On the other end, too, Koo with over 1.5 field goals. I don't think he's made a field goal the last couple of weeks, but he's been pretty consistent there. And I think it's plus 125. Ooh. I thought about Austin Eckler's rushing yards because of the matchup.
60.5. Yep.
Yeah, man, but just too many times he doesn't come through, and it's mostly the passing game. So
I looked for a total yard prop on that, and I didn't find it at the time. So
yeah, I don't think they had his receiving yards out. Let me see if I can find it. I don't think I saw any receiving props on him.
I didn't either. That's where I looked first for him.
Yeah, I don't. There's no receiving props on him. Just
I would have taken Ron. I would have taken somewhere in like if it was in the 90s, probably would be close to 100. I would have taken the potential rushing plus receiving yards for him in this.
I thought about David Montgomery's under rushing yards.
Yeah,
55.5.
We got that call. We got that report that it's going to start to be evened out a little bit more. We'll have to see.
Rushing and receiving is 71.5.
For who?
Montgomery.
Okay, I was nervous you said Eckler for a second. I would have loved to.
He had one.
Here are 3 props, Rome, that I was potentially going with. 4 technically. Michael Pittman props. The over on the 5.5 receptions and the over 68.5 receiving yards.
I was looking at that. Titans have been really bad. I know Pittman did not have a good game against them the first matchup, but I expect Pittman to have a really good game this week against Tennessee last time. He was only 3 for 31 on 6 targets, but every other game this year he's been heavily involved. I do see a good game for Pittman. I thought about him as well.
I thought about Alec Pierce's over on his 43.5 receiving yards too. I just, with everybody coming back now, it scared me off a little bit. So I didn't go there.
I feel like I'm messing up not going back to Nick Chubb.
It's
down to 16.5 now, as opposed to 18.5.
I mean, it's too late now. But
I know that, but I feel like I should have just went back to it. Not like Baltimore's been great, as they have been against the run. So,
what about Joe Burrow over 284.5 passing yards?
Yeah, or Burrow over. I think is it 2.5 passing touchdowns? I think Burrow has another good game.
Yeah, I never bet over 2.5 passing touchdowns. Those scare me off too much.
I mean, it's plus money. It's plus 168 on FanDuel, plus 165 on DK. Yeah, it's risky. I mean, there's a 1.5 at minus 210 on PointsBet, so I wouldn't do that. Maybe we should go to Herbert this week after he burned us. He's going against Seattle. Like this week, he'll have 4 touchdowns to rub it in.
Yes.
Damn them! But damn, it is juice. The 1.5 over holy crap. Minus 213 on Caesars, minus 220 on DK, minus 225 on BetMGM. Wow.
Dang. So 5 props for me. Matt Ryan over 34.5 pass attempts. Brian Robinson over 13.5 rush attempts. Ken Walker over 16.5 rush attempts. Thank you. Josh Jacobs over 16.5 receiving yards.
When?
Alan Lazard over 48.5 receiving yards.
I see a 3-2 week for you.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. I'll take it. I've been over 500.
I see 5-0 for myself.
Of course you do. Chris Godwin over.
I'm being objective.
Yeah, okay. Chris Godwin over 61.5 receiving yards. Ken Walker over 68.5 rush yards. Devontae Adams over 80.5 receiving yards.
W.
Tyreek Hill over 6.5 receptions.
Big W, plus money.
Dameon Pierce, which I was also looking at too, over 66.5 rush yards.
Win.
I'm going to predict that you're going to have a get right week and you're going to go 4-1.
I am due, man. I'm tired of this 3-2, 2-3 bull crap.
Well, I mean, you're giving yourself too much credit. I mean, you were 1-4 and 2-3. So yes, you were.
What? No,
you were. Yes, you were.
Oh, you're forgetting the 2 4-1 weeks to start the year.
I'm not forgetting that, but recently, which is why I've cut the lead down. You've had some under 500 weeks, but you started off great.
And you're due for an 0-5 week.
You want that so badly. You're going to be on Bettors. They'll be like, F. Fenstein. He's Adam Rodas. I'm Justin Fenster. This is the playbook. Great teammate we got here. Great team chemistry.
We're going against each other.
I know we are. It's fun. This is the playbook. Let's get to the final drive of the week before we send you off to Rick Kamla on Better Sports Network.
This is the Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com and sponsored by Jock Market. Make real money every second of the game. The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
The only person, I've said this to you before, who I believe back then, of all those power hitters who truly was clean, Ken Griffey Jr.
I mean, I think so when he got hurt.
Body didn't change.
We'll never know that for sure either.
No, dude.
We've seen guys who were not big take substances.
That's true.
I just get busted. So it's not about that always.
I hear you. It's just, don't you think with the way his career kind of went, you would think that he didn't take anything?
I don't think he did, but we'll never know 100%.
I'm going to keep telling myself that he didn't. The 1 year player, I mean, he's my favorite baseball player of all time. In the 1990s, Ron, as a kid, as a 5-year-old kid who plays video games and collected cards, there was no one cooler than Ken Griffey Jr. I still wear my hat backwards because Ken Griffey Jr. did it and he looked really cool doing that, wearing a backwards baseball cap. Like, he made everything the guy did looked cool. Even the home run in the movie Little Big League, it's acting, it's all, I guess, fake, but even he made that look cool. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr., you're a little bit older than me, but in the 90s, was there besides Michael Jordan, was there a more loved athlete than Ken Griffey Jr.?
Yeah, no, I love Griffey. He's one of my favorite players ever, from defensively to hitting his swing. And yeah, I would have loved to see what he could have done if he had stayed healthy, the final numbers he'd finished with. So, no, I was a huge fan of Ken Griffey, and it's a shame, though, that all those injuries towards the end of his career just really limited the production he put up, but he still put up elite numbers. He was so fun to watch. So I'm a huge Ken Griffey guy.
And here's the other thing, too. So 1994, the season got shortened because of the strike.
And he finished with 40 homers in 111 games that year, man. And then he had 56 2 years in a row, 97 and 98, and then 48. He had a stretch 4 years in a row, 49, 56, 56, 48, 40. I mean, unbelievable. And then, yeah, once he hit like 31, he started to miss games, 111, 70, 53, 83. So think about that. All those years that he lost, and he still hit 630 home runs, man. Yeah. So if he was clean, he would have been the all-time home run champion. Again, we're all guessing here, but you would think, all right, well, once he got into age 31, 32, that's when the body started breaking out, which is typical, right, for someone who's not using anything, whereas we saw Barry Bonds just get better with age, and we did not see that with Griffey. So look at 2001, where he's 31 when he played on, look at the home runs decline, 8, 13, 20, 35, 27, 30, 18, 15 to his age 38 season. Even age 39 in 170 games, he had 19 home runs. So he probably would have definitely been the all-time home run leader had he been able to stay healthy.
Bettor Sports Network. It's sports talk done better. In the game.
It's time for the Playbook's final drive of the week.
In the end zone, it is caught for the win.
The final 4 downs with Fensty and Ronis on Bettor Sports Network.
Unbelievable! Oh my goodness, what a play!
I'm jealous now after seeing that Breece Hall rush attempts prop, Roan. I probably should have gone that direction instead of Brian Robinson. He was at 15.5. He's been getting 17 plus in his last 3 games here, Roan. And you want to trade the Nick Chubb prop for one of yours, and I'll swap in the Breece Hall for Brian Robinson?
No, we'll stick with what we got.
Sounds good here. Rick Kamla coming up next on Bettor Sports Live, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern. Catch the Roan Man on Bettor Zone 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern this Sunday on Bettor Sports Network. All right, Roan, MVP of the week for our first down. Who's it going to be for you?
We couldn't go throughout the whole show without talking some baseball. Alex Bregman, huge 3-run homer, decides the game. Salute Alex Bregman.
Alex Bregman right there for the MVP of the week. For me, for my MVP of the week, and this is somebody that I hope to once again see another big performance tonight. I have him in the starting 5 for NBA. Ja Morant just looked absolutely incredible in that first game, helping really carry his team. So Ja Morant tonight, excellent matchup for him against Houston. Kevin Porter can't guard anyone. Double-double, another 30-point outing. Don't be surprised if you see that. He's my MVP of the week. LVP of the week for second down, Rome. Loser.
The New York Yankees making excuses. The wind, the roof was open. It was a bad pitch. The exit velocity on Bregman compared to Judge. Well, that ball that Judge hit would only have been a home run in one park. No surprise, Yankee Stadium. And the ball Bregman hit would have been out. I think it was 25 stadiums. So the Yankees are complaining about stuff. Stop striking out. 30 strikeouts in 2 games. Stop making excuses, crybabies.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. Fighting words from Adam Rodas. My LVP of the week is going to be someone who really didn't do much for me last night, and that's Zach Ertz in a crushing, grueling tight end position here. Someone that I thought I can rely on. Someone that I thought even with DeAndre Hopkins back in the mix, no Marquise Brown's. His target's safe, right? Nah, not really. So for my LVP already here, because I have a lot of shares of Zach Ertz, not good having only a few points to start your week for your fantasy, man. Not good. Third down pass play here. It could be any kind of question you want, or as we've talked about, the game that you're most excited to watch this weekend.
For me, the game that I'm most excited to watch this weekend, I think it's Chiefs-Niners. Yeah, I would say Chiefs-Niners.
Chiefs-Niners, that's going to be very fun, very telling as well, especially now you've got the Christian McCaffrey angle in there too. I'm actually, for mine, and you brought this game up a few times, starting right at the same time, I'm actually interested to see the Chargers-Seahawks game. The 50.5 total should be nice back and forth, and especially we've got props here for Ken Walker. I want to see just what these offenses can do, and I want to see what Keenan Allen can do, someone that I've got a couple of shares of as well, Ron. So Seahawks Chargers with that 50.5 total. I'm looking forward to that 4 o'clock window of games this week, man.
Yeah, only 3 games of 4s. Oh, 4 games of 4s we have most week. Jets Broncos, sorry to say it, it's going to be boring. That line's down to 37.5. Texans Raiders, so yeah, those are the 2 games at 4. I thought you were going to say Bears Patriots on Monday.
No, that was number 2, though. So close right there. I'll say this, though. Hey, if teams covering the spreads, though, we talked about it during the hash out yesterday, Roan. I thought that the Patriots could still cover against the Bears based off we see. That was one of the ones that stuck out to me. Final call, Roan. 4th down. Got to be clutch. Your final thought, final play, or piece of advice for all the Bettor fans out there.
Yeah, no need to rush some of these decisions. We still have to wait. As guys like Keenan Allen and everything, they'll probably be a surprise inactive. So just make sure you make the final decision Sunday morning. I'll have my ranks updated on fantasyalarm.com all the way up until kickoff.
Yes, absolutely. Mine is going to be for the final piece of advice that if you're ever in a Yahoo Fantasy League as a co-manager and you're planning on drafting, become the manager. Do not be the co-manager or you'll run into a situation that I ran into with my auction here when somebody who was a co-manager couldn't bid on players. That's backwards thinking right there. It makes absolutely no sense. So make sure that you're the manager if you're drafting on Yahoo. We got Rick Kamla coming up next for Bettor Sports Live. Give Adam Rodas a follow on Twitter at Adam Rodas. Give me a follow at Fensty Sports. We'll both be back for the Playbook Monday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern. We thank Tony LaBarbera and we thank Jared Moore as well. We thank all of you for hanging out with us. The Playbook is closing for the weekend. See you Monday. Let's win.